Hello! And welcome to this episode of
The Ed Factor.
Today we are going to look at Bruce Dickinson's solo album
Skunkworks. Yep.
Skunkworks. So this is his third/fourth solo album.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
Interesting, Andy.
Solo album number 1 would be Tattooed Millionaire,
Yep,
I suppose, which is done when he was still in Maiden. Solo album number 2 was a far more serious solo album. I would say probably his first proper solo album.
Yep. That would be.
And post Maiden.
Yep, that would be our balls.
Yep. Balls of Picasso. He means.
Balls.
There was, which was released in 1994,
Yep.
and we've done a review of that. So you can check that out in the description thing below. There'll be a link. But there was also then in 95 released Bruce Dickinson Live in Studio A, which is basically live tracks recorded in London.
The double album, isn't it?
It's a double album. It's a bit of a strange album in that it's just tracks from those two albums that we've just mentioned.
Yep, it is.
And it's also not...
It's Marquee. They recorded it in the Marquee, I think.
Recorded in the Marquee.
And then
Sorry, go on ahead.
No, it was recorded in the Marquee Club, and then the second disc is the same set list, but recorded as live in Studio A.
Yeah, I think that's the way of it. And it's actually recorded not with the band that made Balls to Picasso.
Yes. Big point this week.
Yeah. So Roy Z isn't involved in that live in studio. It is a new band.
Yep.
And it is the band that then goes on to record this album.
Yep. And tour Balls to Picasso. Yep.
Yes. So
if you're watching any of the live stuff, which I was doing as a complete noob to Balls to Picasso, and I was looking at Roy Z going, wow, he's quite small and he's quite thin. It wasn't Roy Z I was looking at at all. It was Alex Dixon.
Alex Dixon.
So,
yes.
There you go.
So there you go. Alex Dixon is the guitarist of this. I think he played in Scottish rock band Gone.
Yep.
And he also did some session work and live work with Robbie Williams. So there you are.
Every man has his price.
Yes, which would have come after this, actually. So Skunkworks.
Yep, so the name, Andy, first of all, will we go for the name? Skunkworks?
We'll go through the name. So, yes.
Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
Specialist Aeronautics Secret Facility.
So the first thing, in case we sound like we're talking utter gibberish.
Yeah,
it's just to say what we're
Not that we ever do.
Just where did Bruce get this name from? First and foremost, the name, he actually wanted to call this band
Skunkworks, that's right.
Skunkworks. He didn't want this to be a Bruce Dickinson album. This was an attempt at a band.
Yep.
And he was overruled basically by the record company /
by the sheriff.
The sheriff of Huddersfield.
The sheriff said,
Rod Smallwood,
you
can't do that. And you're a heavy metal singer, and you shouldn't even be. What are you up to?
What are you doing? What are you doing, Bruce?
Yeah.
So
which we'll talk about musical direction in a minute.
I think so.
Yeah, Chris, what you were saying. So, where does the phrase Skunkworks come from?
Lockheed Martin is a massive aerospace company, and during the Cold War, the Skunkworks was basically an aeronautical sort of secret division. So the SR-71, the Blackbird, that was their creation, and also the stealth program, so stealth bombers, stealth fighters.
Bombers, right?
So Bruce, being a plane nut and obviously into flying and things like that, that's where I think this is from. It's a good title. It's an interesting title. If you're a nerd like me, you would know where that came from. But if you weren't so sure, it's an interesting title. It's a weird title.
It is a weird
it warrants
title.
a bit of research.
So aircraft design going back to the 40s and stuff. There's like I've written here the P-38 Lightning and the Shooting Star, and also lots of kind of war planes and stuff.
If you're an Airfix modeler, you'll know what those are.
Yeah. As Chris has said, Bruce's interest in aviation, that's where that's come from. But another thing I find interesting is it's a phrase that's used in engineering and business to describe a group within an organization that has been given a high degree of autonomy. So that was also, I felt, Bruce is witty.
Oh, aye.
and a bit of a thinker.
He knows what he's saying.
And I think you find with him, everything has several layers.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always a wee jibe or something in there. And particularly during this not being in Maiden period.
Yeah.
There's, Edison and stuff to come forward. That kind of thing. His sense of humour is a little bit spiky at times, if we could say it. And I think this is maybe a little dig at his label,
management company,
Rod Smallwood, at etc.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. Absolutely.
A dig or statement because he's been given the freedom to do that, whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
So
when you dip into this music, you can't not but think that this is a statement of maybe balls to you, Rod. Never mind balls to Picasso.
Yes. So which I suppose nicely takes us on to
absolutely.
We've got the name now.
Yep.
Musical direction.
Good
Balls
call.
to Picasso, we had said was, I think we both concluded it was a pretty interesting rock album.
Yeah.
Which wasn't quite sure what it was trying to be. At times it was a bit heavy-ish.
Yeah.
At times it was more experimental. There was some brave stuff on it.
There was a wee bit of rap.
There was, which the less said about the better. But on the whole, not a bad album.
It was okay. Yeah,
it's okay.
We did. I enjoyed listening to it. There's some great tracks on it. Yep.
Yeah, there is.
And there were a departure from what we were used to from Bruce.
Departure from what we were used to from Bruce.
Yeah.
And I think we also really concluded that, as I think Bruce has subsequently, it would have been a far better album if it had been produced by Roy Z, and given a heavier, weightier sound. But as Bruce said, he didn't know Roy could do that.
That's
really
true
at the time.
Yeah.
So
and it wasn't just to be at that time.
No, but an interesting record and some good songwriting. This record is, well, I think it's quite different. I think it's a very different
Couldn't be
album.
much more different if he just wrapped the whole thing, Andy, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. So if you watched our pod before, you'll know that we don't discuss what we're...
No. And it has been
For
quite
better
some
or for
time
worse.
since we did the last one,
Yes,
so apologies.
Apologies. Life gets in the way.
It
at
really
times.
does.
Yes.
It really does.
But yes, so I'm not sure what Chris's opinion is of this album, and likewise. So,
Did you buy quick question before we get started? Did you have this in the 90s? Did you buy this? You bought all the solo stuff, didn't you?
I did. I did buy this. Yes.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
I did.
I never heard this album. I never bothered with it until I started doing my research. So just putting that out there now.
Okay. Yeah. So there was enough on Balls to Picasso to make me go, oh, another Bruce record. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Okay. Fair enough.
And the other thing was I actually really liked the single.
Yeah.
Which is Back from the Edge.
Yeah.
So that made me go, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So this album was released in 19th of February 1996. And musical direction this is an attempt at a grunge album.
This is as I've written in capitals in my notes. This album is American Alternative Sound 101.
Yeah.
This album is the best grunge album you've never heard. Basically.
Yeah. This is Bruce trying to make a grunge
Daddy,
album.
what's grunge? Here's a copy of Skunkworks. Go and listen to it.
Well, yeah.
I'm only joking.
It is an attempt at a grunge album.
It's an attempt at a grunge album.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll
give you that.
It is produced by
Jack and Dino.
Yeah.
Who-
Go on.
Jack Endino is a legend in Seattle. He's in the band Skinyard, and his first claim to fame, and probably one of the main reasons why he got this gig, was in 1988. He recorded the Nirvana album Bleach for £600.
So he's quite affiliated with the Sub Pop label.
Yeah, very much so. I don't know if don't know what's right to say, be their in-house producer, but he was a massive figure.
Yeah, don't know if he was their in-house producer, because when you look at it, he didn't do everything that came
No,
out
I know, but like he would be somebody who would have been well known in the scene.
Well known around the scene, absolutely. And he did. So he produced Mudhoney. He did some early Mark Lanigan solo stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
He did Whiskey for the Holy Ghost.
Oh I've got
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
and one or two others with him. And he did Soundgarden's first EP.
Yep. Louder Than Love.
No, Screaming Life.
Okay.
So yeah, and as Chris has said, he produced Bleach by Nirvana.
Yep.
And he also produced Incesticide.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, 2 Nirvana albums. Plus, I think he produced some of their later on best of stuff, Sliver, the best of, and all that kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, so he's produced.
Massive figures.
Nirvana
still.
are the biggest of grunge bands.
Yeah.
They're the daddy, really.
Yeah.
Whether anyone likes
it
that
or not. Yeah,
that is the truth. And yeah, so I think Bruce, in his biography, has stated that he got this band together. He dusted off his, as he put it, I dusted off my favourite Soundgarden and Alice in Chains albums.
Yeah.
That was kind of the direction felt he was going in.
There's a very interesting, I don't know if he did it in the research, a very interesting interview with Chris Steele, who's a bass player.
No.
Really good interview.
Right.
On if you search for Chris Steele, he released a book last year. So he did he did some metal podcasts, and it's very interesting just how he's obviously like anyone who's associated with Sanctuary. I can't say Maiden because he never had anything to do with Maiden, but they always speak really highly. Like even when you hear Blaze talking about how well he was looked after.
So how they were looked after by Rod Smallwood and the management.
Yeah.
Sanctuary Company, yeah.
Basically, he was asked to learn 4 tunes. I think they put Balls to Picasso on him and Alex Elena, I think, as a drummer. They were they came as a 2.
Right.
So,
okay.
Well, the first thing in the interview he says that he thought was really nice was Bruce helped him in with his Ampeg bass cab, which he thought, it's a guy that Iron Man helped me about. So Bruce was an affable, very friendly guy. I think in the Sanctuary boardroom when they were sort of being, interviewed or whatever, they put on, they really liked Balls to Picasso, and then that got them the gig.
Right. Okay.
And then Alex Dixon came in as a separate, and they worked together, and the recording of it and the playing of it. It felt like to him 4 parts. The guys, the band were together. I think Alex Dixon wrote 30 songs.
Right, so it felt like a unit.
Yeah,
It felt like
they were really tight.
Yeah. Interesting, and probably I would say a fair bit to do with, or my guess would be to do with the Scream for Me Sarajevo experience, because this is a band that, if you've seen that,
he talks about that
documentary and that experience, or read about that, that's something fairly unique to go through as a band. So I can imagine this is a tight knit group. That would add up, man. But interesting to hear another member given their
he speaks quite well. He's a very good speaker. So and the interview's quite long. If I can find the link, I'll put it in the thing below, because it is worth listening to.
Right,
really
cool,
is.
Cool.
And he sounds like a great guy.
Which I suppose would bring us to musicianship.
Yeah,
would be. I think musician-wise, as you would expect, someone working with Bruce Dickinson, you couldn't complain about the quality of musicianship here.
No, not at all.
On any level.
It's really good.
The playing is really top notch.
It is great.
Musician-wise. It's... So we're saying an attempt at grunge. Do we want to dig into that a little bit before we go into each song?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No problem.
Just like an overall...
Yeah, okay.
Sonically?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah, okay. Because I think this album goes...
I'm interested to hear what you think about
this. What I think?
Yeah.
Well, I think this album, it's a bit confused in that sense. The main thread, even though you would think, or I expected this to be more of a Soundgarden-esque type thing.
Yeah.
Because I know that's... Well, I think Soundgarden would be the closest grunge band that they're quite metally, they're quite Sabbathy.
Sabbathy, yeah.
And vocal wise, that would be maybe the thing that would suit
Chris Cornell's vocals.
Bruce they're high.
He's a squealer at times.
High end vocal, But there's only, in my opinion, one track that is Soundgarden-esque
Okay.
of this entire album.
I'm just wondering if it's the same one I think I've written. I've actually used the adjective Soundgarden.
Yeah, so we'll be interesting when we go through the tracks. There's a couple of tracks again on the back end of the album where it, production wise, quite suddenly seems to go quite Smashing Pumpkins-esque for me. I don't know if you think that.
Yes, Andy.
But prior to that,
yes, Andy.
the bulk of the album sounds more Pearl Jam to me.
You think so?
Music-wise, yeah.
Right.
I think guitar work sounds a lot more Pearl Jam than it does. It doesn't sound like Alice in Chains at all.
Not at all, no.
There's nothing Alice in Chains-esque about
No,
this.
okay.
Alice in Chains are far heavier than anything on this album.
I find that quite interesting that you're saying that. Can't disagree with it, but I don't necessarily agree with it. But
okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, I think the guitar tones and even the style of the riffs and stuff, they're more in key with Pearl Jam.
I think you've just unlocked something in my brain there, but yeah, okay.
That's the sense that I get.
I love Pearl Jam.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I mean, all those bands mentioned, I'd be a fan of all of them.
Yeah.
But we would be, I think, myself and Chris would not be conservative metal fans. We're quite
very open-minded. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
so
well, this is our formative years, this grunge period too. You know, so
for me, I never really saw the massive divide.
Yeah.
I mean, it was different in its presentation and in its lyrical content, very much so. But music-wise, I didn't see a massive change. To me, it was guitar-driven rock music.
Yeah.
You know, yes, a bit different, but not. It wasn't like a quantum leap.
No,
I didn't think. You know,
okay, there wasn't any,
same. Yeah,
you know, 100-mile-an-hour leads or like that sort. But you know, at the end of the day, the sentiments and the influences are the same.
Yeah, and you're saying that,
you know, like
there are 100-million-mile-an-hour leads in Pearl Jam.
Aye, but not like I'm talking about.
Oh, maybe tapping.
Yeah,
or
that's what I'm talking about. But that's just normal mile an hour. Normal speed.
I get true. I guess for me, if you take Pearl Jam, I think when you listen to them, you can hear Deep Purple there.
Yeah, definitely an Aerosmith. And Mike McCready's a massive Kiss fan. That was our thing, you know. Yeah,
so you can hear those things.
And Hendrix, like, of course.
Yeah, of course. But you know, if you were to ask Bruce or any of the guys out in Maiden, I mean, Deep Purple are a big influence there. So that's what I mean by.
That's the band that Chris Steele says in the interview. More than enough, he said that their common love was Deep Purple.
Well, that's interesting.
And the jam band thing as well, which would lead into the grunge. You know, that Bruce wanted a band that was free enough to jam. Maiden was always very tight.
Very interesting.
And formulaic, but not in a damning way. But that's what he said. Bruce wanted a band that could, when they were playing live, stop playing he says, for an example, they started playing the Trooper just when they were jamming and practicing. They were able to practice with record company money 7 days a week. And they ended up becoming like a jazzy version of the Trooper. And then it became a Deep Purple song that they broke into. And, you know, there are all these things that I suppose... you know, let a wee bit of a fire inside Bruce, maybe, you know.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm not entirely sure that's, I don't feel that.
I presents itself on the record. Not at all. No, I agreed.
In any
not
way.
At all.
So
not at all.
That is interesting. So that's, I guess, a little synopsis of overall musical direction. So will we...
Well, we hit the first button. Hit play. Hit play.
So track number 1 is Space
Race.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And I think this is a cracking track.
Very catchy.
I think this is a really, really strong song.
Love the beginning of it. The beginning of it is just here we are now, entertain us. I was going to say, but you know, like you've got the ethereal sound of the guitar.
Yeah,
nothing like you would have ever heard on a Maiden record.
No,
possibly or on Balls to Picasso.
No,
you know that, and then the band comes in together like you would have in the 101 grunge sound, you know, and they're tight. You know, it's not a driving song, but it's got presence.
It's got a lovely drift and float to it. I think the chorus melody's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it is.
It's
I
very
think it's
good.
fantastic.
Even to this day, it's the song that sticks in my head. Like I would sing it sometimes. You know, it's really catchy. I think
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Feel free to sing it now if you want.
no. I have a bit of a cold. I wouldn't do it
Well,
justice.
the falsetto wasn't coming out tonight. I tried, listeners. I tried. Yeah, I think it's a cracking track. Lyrically, very interesting as well.
Yeah, I you know, it's a management company. I think. Yep.
Yeah,
Jesus, we're on the same track tonight,
yeah.
sir.
I've written that as well.
Right,
So
good stuff.
could be taken literally, space race, America.
Yep.
Versus USSR type thing, but
I just
also,
want to feel the starlight on my face.
Also, yeah, Bruce's desire to break out of that metal genre.
Yeah, that's what this album is.
Is
in spades. I want away. I want to break away. But Maiden albums have been like that before. Maiden albums have been like that before. I've definitely mentioned that in previous episodes. More sort of the early stuff. But you know, there's that angst of I want out of here. I want to move. I want to leave. I want to join the space race. I want to. But it's a great song, a brilliant song, great lead in it.
Do you think this is about? I mean, he's already left Maiden. He's been out of Maiden a couple of years now.
I think it's more you're a bloody heavy metal
it's
singer.
more you're a heavy metal singer.
Definitely.
Now
yeah.
it's more trying to break out of the genre, and I think that's a thing that's quite maybe a theme through the album.
Absolutely. He
He
feels he has to change, otherwise he's going to die. Maybe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's that type
In a metaphorical sense.
type of feeling. I think that's a fairly key thing. We'll probably repeat a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, but a cracking tune and a
Brilliant
great way
song.
to start the album.
Yeah, a great song. Just like Buzzworth Castle Cyclops is a brilliant song.
It's a brilliant song to open an album with. Yeah. No, there's some quality songwriting.
Yeah, that's it. You see,
so yes, Skunkworks is off to a good start.
it is indeed. Right. Number 2.
Track number 2 was the lead single off the album.
The
There we go.
We're back.
There we go.
Another catchy chorus.
I think this is a great track.
Yeah.
I remember getting this as a Digipack CD single before getting the album and thinking it was a great song. I would say this is a song about rebirth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lines
There's
like
daddy issues in this album too. I think, or at times, you know, there's an like father, like son.
yeah,
Definitely. But is it like manager, like artist? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess only the man himself would
Yeah,
know. But
that's it.
lines like "kill yourself," "begin again,"
Yeah.
stuff are in this track, and I think this is musically really really interesting track.
Yeah.
And it's more. I don't think this one sounds. This isn't as grungy.
No, it's more straight ahead rock.
Straight ahead rock
Yeah.
/ I don't know. We're getting
Alternative rock. Yeah.
in a way, you know.
Yeah, you really are. You know, you're a skip away from grunge, but I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
It could be.
It's
Another band could have done this at the time. I don't know who, but you know what I mean.
And
like,
I think it's too upbeat
yeah,
to be grunge. I mean,
yeah,
it's double time tempo type thing. It's I think that's what it is, and the poppy bass line.
Yeah,
it's just a bit more. It's almost a bit more. It's not Chili Peppers, but there's a bit
I know what you
edge
mean.
of that there.
Yeah,
Just but in a good way, because it's just something that's a little bit different.
Yes, 100% right.
Rather
Andy,
than trying so much to sound like those other bands.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a standout track of the album. It's one of the best tracks.
It's a good. It
album.
is a good song.
Yeah,
it is a good song.
And vocally, he sounds fantastic.
He does.
There's some huge notes in there.
He's back
from the edge.
Cracking.
but he is. Yeah. No, sounds great. No, vocally, he's never been away.
No, I know, but that old raspy's gone, you know that.
Yeah.
You know,
he didn't rasp much on Balls to
No, he
Picasso,
didn't. He didn't. I thought he probably mentioned that, but you know, the
was
vocals are really coming through
really
in this
there.
album.
He's soaring. There is none of that rasp at all.
I suppose now you're saying about Cornell and Eddie Vedder as well. Like they had big voices.
Big voices.
You know, Kurt Cobain didn't really, but he had a hell of a scream on him.
Yeah.
But you know, this is licensed to do that. I think, you know, you're allowed to do it with grunge, and You know, he's got the right guy behind him too, producing this, the vocals and that. You know,
and he's singing. Honestly, this is Bruce's voice, whereas on No Prayer for the Damned and Fear the Dark, again, you can watch our reviews of them. We felt that Bruce was trying something different vocally. He was
trying to be Brian Johnson,
Brian Johnson / Axl Rose type thing. He wasn't really being himself.
Yeah, he wasn't letting go.
And he probably would say, well, he was just trying something different.
Yeah.
Anyway, he is singing full voice.
Full throat. Yes. Yep.
Track number 3.
Inertia.
So track number 3, Inertia. So this is again an interesting track.
I like the intro in this. It's slightly different, you know.
I like the intro in this, and it's one of the few times we get a quiet intro, and then it comes in.
Yeah.
So that
quiet, loud, quiet,
Maiden dynamic,
but also very much a grunge dynamic.
Yes.
Loud, quiet, loud.
Yes. That's true.
You know. They go quite well together, isn't it funny?
Yeah.
You would never have Maiden and grunge together, but there you go. You know, they do share that DNA.
At times. Because it's all rock music.
It's all, I think it's all basically same influence. Yeah, but at its most base.
Different interpretation.
I really like this song. Well, it's a good song. It's a good song. It's solid.
It's solid. Yes, I would agree with that. It's a decent track. There's some interesting lyrics. It's about his Bosnian experience.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, it's got weight, content, lyrically. I think when you know that, the song kind of makes a lot more sense. I didn't know that back in the day.
That's it. You see,
and I actually used to think Inertia. Is this about being? Is this somehow? I knew it was. The opening lines tell you it's something to do with war, like it is war. But then it's about, and Inertia's about not moving or not having energy or something like that. And I was like,
is it again the management?
That's a very un-Bruce thing.
Yeah.
You can't, that can't be personal experience. What's like? Is it got to do with coming home from war and being depressed and not being able to do anything? It made a lot more sense when I read, it was about Bosnia, so about his experience there. So, no, a good track.
Yeah,
yes, I would agree.
I think we're happy. We're on a decent, a good / solid start here. You know,
solid start. Yeah, I think I'd just say, and coming up to track number 4 as well. The songs on this are all very short.
Yeah,
that's the point I'm gonna make throughout.
Yeah,
they're 3 minutes. I think there's 2 tracks that are 4 minutes something, and there's 1 track that's 2 minutes something, and the rest of the album is 3 minutes something.
Yeah,
every other track.
Yeah.
So I didn't even write down the times because they're all really quite short. And I say quite short as in for Bruce Dickinson.
Yep.
These are short songs.
Yeah.
We just talked about Cyclops. Boston Picasso. It's like a 7 minute song.
It falls into
there's
epic territory.
There's none of that here.
Like this. It's probably
point we'll maybe come back.
Okay, we'll come back to that. No, fair enough. Go on ahead. Yeah.
Track number 4.
We're flying through them here. Faith, not George Michael's version or the rather poor Limp Bizkit cover. No. I was expecting a rap when I heard this,
and you were bloody glad not to get one.
Exactly.
I'm sure.
Again, it was. I thought, here we go. We've had a bit of Soundgarden, a bit of verse, a bit of quiet, loud, quiet. Now we're going to get something. Now we're going to get a bit of Zach De La Rocha, but we didn't get it.
No, but I would say
Bruce De La Dickinson.
What
instead.
You do get is potentially the first metal-ish riff on the album.
Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
Which to me is kind of, I think it jars a little bit, because if you're gonna put riffs like that on it, palm mutant, chunky, you gotta have the production, you gotta have the sound for it. But it's obviously a kind of a grungy, Pearl Jammy guitar tone, and to me it just doesn't. It therefore sounds a bit lame.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
You know,
I quite like this song.
Now, I'm not saying it's a bad song.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if that riff was played by Roy Z
Aye, okay.
with his guitar sound, this song would be 1,000 times better.
Okay.
Sung exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know, it would sound huge.
Yeah.
Because that riff should be huge.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, and that's because they're supposed to be making a grunge album.
Yeah, well, that's
I
it.
don't think it sounds like a grungy riff. It sounds more of a metal-y riff. Which...
Yeah, okay. I would stick it solidly into the alternative bracket,
Okay.
the way it sounds. And again, it's kind of like a Rage Against the Machine, and you couldn't really say they were a metal band. So I like it. I think it's a good song. I think it's about Maiden. Did you write that?
Here, yep.
Shut up.
Break up. Maiden.
Yeah. Would I stay? Could I stay?
Yep.
You know?
How many more times till I break out from that guilty mess?
Yep. How many more times till I say who I am and don't pretend?
Yep.
Yep.
So I think it's definitely about that
Yeah, absolutely.
break up from Maiden / maybe the battle that's went on in the background about, no, I'm not making a heavy metal album. I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah.
Perhaps. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting.
It's funky. There, it's got that. I love that sort of. Nearly like a drop D sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just doesn't quite hit
that,
the mark
that isn't
for
even
me.
sounds, but he knows what I mean.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I just think it could be. I just don't think that kind of production's quite. I just think it could sound so much.
I didn't really
better.
think about that. I'll be honest with you. I didn't really consider that because, the production at the minute is pretty solid.
Yeah,
it's the same.
I haven't had it. It is the same.
Whereas I would have one of my criticism of Balls to Picasso would have been it was a bit of a pick and mix at times.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Interesting. This would be the first track that I basically think that, the production's been fine up to now, but I think that track doesn't quite
fit the
suit
production.
that production
Okay, fair
or
enough.
the type of album that I think you're trying to make.
All right.
No. For me.
No. There's a lot to pick through here, but we're going as quickly as we can.
As we can. So track number 5
Yeah.
is Solar Confinement.
I love it.
So
I love that song.
do you?
Yeah.
This is when the album starts to flag for me.
I think right, Grant.
I've written that this is.
It's solid though. It's a solid. That's twice I've used that word to describe a track.
You think it's solid? Yeah.
I just think it's quite straight ahead rock.
I think
Four on the floor. That's
which is my issue with it. I think it's very middle of the road.
Right. All right. Okay.
I kind of got
punchy. I thought. I quite like the chorus. The chorus it'll be the next one that I would be singing in the car.
Oh, okay.
And I can't do it justice tonight. Sorry.
No, you're all right. Lyrically, I think it's about maybe being creatively trapped.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's at. But I think musically, it kind of doesn't really go anywhere.
Right. Okay.
And for me, now 5 songs in, I'm starting to go.
You're reaching for the skip button, sort of idea, right?
Yeah, because it's just verse, chorus, maybe a short interlude. They're all 3 minutes. There's not much going on musically or experimentally.
Scope.
And I guess I was expecting more experimentation.
Okay. Well, yes, fair enough. Yeah. And if he's wanting to break away, if he's wanting to do something different, and yes, it is a solid 4 on the floor rock tune. And
it might just be that he's thinking, well, doing 3-minute songs is me breaking away from Maiden that
that's true.
Tend to do long songs. Fair enough.
And we have no mention of a wizard or a historical figure yet, or a demon. So we're good enough.
That's very true. I mean, lyrically, it's there's some space stuff in there, but and aviation, but I mean they're quite honest lyrics.
Yeah,
more about feelings, which is I suppose more where
he was
closer
at
to the grunge.
Yeah, but where his head was at too at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So track number 6
Right. Okay. Dream State.
is Dream
Dream
State.
State. I don't like you.
It's the first track that has a bit of dynamics for me.
Right. Are we still in the dip, Andy?
A real shit, but we're still in the dip.
Aye, this is where it starts to dip for me a wee bit too.
I think it's very directionless
And
again
it's
as a track.
Bit like,
Just doesn't go anywhere.
don't like you, Dad. You know, that sort of,
Yeah,
you know,
but grunge
generic grunge tune.
Grunge is to I don't mean to offend anyone who loves grunge, because I really like
love
it too.
We do love it.
But it is at times very stare at your shoes. You know, it's
As I've done before on
depressing
this
kind of
podcast.
thing. You know,
Yeah.
there is that element in it. It is speaking about those
Something
darker
for
feelings or more
nothing.
negative feelings.
Yeah,
that we have,
yeah.
You know, and that is
It's a nice wee
good.
bit.
It can be a good release and all that stuff.
There is a nice wee lead figure in it towards the end. Just something, again, as you said, slightly different. But it's nice. It's not like, wow. But
no, I start to find it a bit. I actually, even though it's only 3 minutes something, it's a bit of a slog getting through the track. I personally think.
Yeah.
So you would agree? With
I would
that?
agree with you. That no, it would be. We're starting to go down a wee tiny bit here. This tune, we're nipping on to the next track. Happy enough?
Number 7. I will not accept the truth.
I will not accept the truth.
And if you don't know that's
You have
the
to-
title
you have to
of
have a-
it
you
by
have
the
to have a-
start of the song,
You have to have a
you'll
pause.
know by the end.
You have to have a pause after it. I will not accept the truth. I will not accept the truth. I will not. Right. You get the idea, Bruce. Yes,
Really-
we've got the idea.
A very, very repetitive track.
The only thing that stands out in this wee song for me is Squally Wah,
Yeah,
right? And I like Chris Steele's bass line in it. Now, that's really its most redeeming feature. Well done, Chris Steele. But
Bruce, don't get it. The song, the singing is like his voice is great on it.
he's singing from the heart a bit too, maybe.
There's
But
not
we don't really need to hear it.
repeatedly
Yeah.
the same line. It just for me doesn't really work as a track. I just think it's a repetitive phrase.
Yeah.
that kind of doesn't really go
Chucking
anywhere.
out the toys for chucking out the toys' sake.
Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, we're just gonna nip past that one, are we?
So we'll just move on to try. There's nothing else to say really
not
about
really,
it.
not really.
So-
It's not the best part of the album, folks.
No,
But then
but it's
we've
not
got
the worst, because the worst
no,
track
it's
may be
not. This is my favorite one.
Inside the Machine.
love it.
Track number 8.
Strap my DNA to it. What a tune!
I've written terrible.
I knew you were gonna do that. I
think this track is terrible.
I think this song is preposterously brilliant.
It makes no sense.
Of course, it doesn't.
Something about loving a machine or being.
No,
part of
it's
a
not.
machine
It's
or-
about trying to change yourself.
Is that what it's about?
It's about Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Audience, the analogy was totally lost on me. I really didn't see that. Fair
Nuclear
enough.
Man, do you remember? Where they stuck a wee tiny bit and they fired it on a rocket?
No.
Okay. Right there. We'll just
Is that
now
what this
pass
is
that.
about?
I love this
Is
song.
that what it's about?
No, of course it's not about. That's just me thinking. I don't know what this song's. It's about like a rebirth, I think.
Right. Okay.
This
It,
is
it could that would
yeah.
fit with the theme,
Yeah.
the themes of
It's
the
my
album, I
machine.
suppose. Yeah.
It drives for me.
Does it?
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's
Right.
yeah. I really do quite enjoy this song.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But you know me, I have a real quirky sense of, I like crap sometimes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I do.
Fair
You know,
enough.
like even some of the worst Iron Maiden songs are some of my favourite. You know what I mean? So, you know, it is
The
just,
thing about music is it's subjective, isn't it? So,
yeah, I
you know,
do find, you know, anything where I can, you know, I can sing it along at a falsetto when I'm driving in the car.
And you got
It's a
that
good
sense
song.
with it.
Yeah, I like it.
you
I just
nailed it
the
and that did it
lyrics
for
and
you.
the Bruce was singing it like he was going for it. You know,
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it. I like it. It's a 90s rock song. Great 90s rock song.
Fair enough, man.
I love it.
Cool.
I do
cool.
like it. And he's really singing. He's really belting it out.
He is belting it out. It just doesn't grab me, but it's interesting that it really does. Does it for you? So
I do. I think that's a great song.
Cool.
But we'll move on.
We will move on. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that.
No.
We will move on to track number 9, which is Head Switch.
Which is class.
Yep. I've written far more upbeat. This is more upbeat, full on.
This is my favorite song in the album.
And what I really like about it's also the shortest.
Yeah.
It's 2 minutes 13. It's straight ahead. It's a really interesting track because although it's full on, Bruce isn't singing full on.
No.
He's doing that.
Yeah,
that mid voice thing that he does so well.
Yeah.
And maybe the likes of Gates to Tomorrow or something. Maiden-esque. That's the range where he's singing that, and he always does that really brilliantly.
It's nearly like you could do like a spoken word to this song.
Yeah.
Not that he would, but you know what I mean. The musicianship in it, I love it.
Yeah,
it's like Caius.
Aye.
It just reminds me of like it's just like here it comes, you know.
Yeah. And I have
like
to say,
a train running over the top of your head.
Yeah, and it would make you think, why didn't this band do a bit more of that?
Yeah.
Because they had it in them, you know.
I don't know what stoner rock was out in 95 when they were recording this. Because Caius was 97, I think. And I don't know what was before them. I don't know that much.
But this is Caius-esque.
It's very like Caius. That's
like
the band that I heard, and we love Caius, you know.
It's more stoner rock track.
Yeah, it's and it is just, it's supercharged. That's the word I use.
Supercharged, yeah. And
lyrics are quite vitriolic, I think, as well, you know, again.
Yeah, good point, man.
You know, it's more probably, well, I've written here, this is what stoner rock would become, though I do feel it's a bit more polished than that. But it's a great tune. A
great
real
tune.
dinger.
And I would say, although you probably think this for Inside the Machine, but a much...
Oh, there's a better song than Inside the Machine. Inside the Machine does have, that novelty value when I'm talking about singing it falsetto.
Right, okay.
You know what I mean? It's not, it is silly.
It's almost comic.
It's silly. But, you know,
but it's a proper track.
It's a kick-ass song. It just... This is the highlight album for me. It's just brilliant tune.
Yeah, highlight of the album.
Brilliant
a much
tune.
needed adrenaline shot
for
me for the album, actually, because really from probably track 4, it's went slowly downhill for me. So this album or this track really is a wake up.
It's nearly like you're drowning.
Yeah.
Or you're underwater. You're underwater and then Bruce and the lads just grab you and go and you're like, whoa, okay, we're back. We're not in self-introspective shoegaze and hate my dad territory. Now we're into
full on rock.
Still about hating somebody, I think. But anyway, it's all good.
Which will take us on to track number 10.
Yeah.
Meltdown. Good dynamics in this track.
Very dry drums. Crispy drums.
It's mid-tempo.
Yeah.
I think this is about a theme. The theme of this is something to do with trust.
Yeah.
So it may possibly, to repeat ourselves, be a shot at management.
Like Rod Smallwood, maybe I'm not.
You were my friend when I belonged.
I've written over here.
Was my friend when
I was strong.
You were my friend when I was weak. Yeah.
That's weird. I wrote that exactly out the same way.
It actually has a midsection with a solo in it, which very few of the tracks have had up to now.
That was a good solo as well.
Yeah, a good lead. I feel that some of the other songs, I think that's one of my gripes for this album. Some of the other songs, if they had expanded them out, and actually, like they've a good guitarist there. I don't, and it's probably because they thought, grunge bands don't do that.
Solos. Yeah, that's probably you've probably hit that right on the head there,
which is nonsense because Pearl Jam are one of the biggest grunge bands and they have tons of solos,
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of naivety about the genre or something. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, they could have made a lot of these tracks a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, it's an interesting enough track.
Yeah.
That, Yeah, solid.
Aye.
Use your phrase. Number 11. You're giggling. Octavia.
The world is a vampire.
Here we go in this. The Big Muff is out.
I just wrote it. Big Muff all over it. That's what I wrote.
Big Muff.
Class.
Yeah.
Cherub Rock Part 2, I wrote.
The Big Muff is a pedal.
Made by
distortion pedal.
Electro-Harmonics. And it's mental.
And it's used by Billy Corgan. And probably some others in the grunge.
Pretty much everybody. You get you buy one, you can play grunge.
It's so obvious that it's been used on that track.
Yeah.
And actually the next track
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
It's really sounds different guitar wise to the previous track. So it's very Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, it is. As I wrote there, Billy Corgan would be effing raging.
Yeah.
But I like the song. I love the Pumpkins. I love, in particular, that era of the Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Siamese Dream. You know, that would be my favourite album out of them all.
Yeah,
you know, it is 2-3 years out of date by this stage. So what they're doing is really cherry picking the highlights of somebody else's work. And,
yes.
you know, I don't think there's any value in that really, but it isn't. I do like the song. I like the theme. It's like a space theme. Again, we're breaking away. You know,
I think what you've said there for me hits the nail on the head in many ways.
Yeah.
When we come to do our summary of this, I just bear what you've said.
Okay.
In mind there.
Awesome.
Yeah. For me, I feel the same.
Yeah.
You're copying other people's work.
Yeah.
Really, I think it's trying to be something you're not. Yes, this is trying to, we'll make a Smashing Pumpkins track. Yeah. I think the bridge is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I do like the song, but again, I like it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
But you know, if you want to hear that, you'll stick a Smashing Pumpkins on.
Yeah, you'd much rather listen to Cherub Rock. Yeah.
You know, than you know, Bruce Dickinson trying to sound like, you know. But anyway,
coming down from head switch, it's a
head switch.
It's a head switch. It's a curveball. I was going to say, but yeah, it's a head switch.
It's probably exactly why he called that track that. Right? We'll change gear here. Anyway, Inner Space.
Yeah.
Right?
It's okay.
Well, I have written crap beside it. And I'm sorry for anyone who loves this album or anything like that. I think it's a crap song. There's nothing memorable about it at all.
It was my first flicker.
Yeah.
Flicker on the next one. Yeah.
It's just some
good
chords
guitar
stuck together.
Good guitar work. That's all I've written.
Is it even?
Yeah, I do. I don't mind. You know, there's some good wee bits on it, but you know,
honestly, I think I'd cook up a better riff right now. I think it's
don't have a guitar. I have an old 12-string there. It's fucked.
That would do.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of chords stuck together. For me, it does nothing. I think it's a really weak track.
So we're finished and we're nearly done.
So we're on to the last track.
This is a kind of a record for us, Andy. We're flying
through this. So Strange Death in Paradise, which is Soundgarden.
Yep.
This is an attempt at making a Soundgarden song.
Ominous big chord under descending single note figure. Yep. Very Soundgarden. Really. Full stop. Imagine Chris Cornell singing it.
Yeah. This is just.
This is weird, Andy.
I've just written Soundgarden.
Right dead on.
And lyrically, it's maybe something to do with an air disaster or something.
Yeah.
Or a spaceship blowing up or something like that. There's something about tin foil coming out of the sky.
I tell you, it could be. I tell you, it's probably about the Roswell crash.
Could be.
You never know.
To do with that.
Who knows?
It's, you know, a bit kind of Empire of the Clouds.
Yeah, before its time.
Themey type thing before its time. But musically, it's nothing like that. It is just a straight copy of a Soundgarden song.
Yeah.
And yeah, if I want to listen to Soundgarden, I'll listen to
Soundgarden. You stick on whatchamacallit?
Yeah.
Super Unknown.
Exactly. You know,
which is it's very like, but
yeah.
You know, some of the again, I go back to the band because the band do need to be given credit. they're great. It's a great sounding band tune there. I think there's some great
Oh,
bits in it.
there's some real cool musicians.
Getting
It's
Floydy towards the end a bit as well, and
Yeah.
in parts, yeah. But yeah,
and in some ways, it's not easy to just turn around and sound like Soundgarden, and turn around and sound like Smashing Pumpkins,
yeah,
and turn around and sound like Pearl Jam,
yeah,
and they've done that.
yeah.
They have done that.
This
so
is
there's good
this is like my
musicianship there.
issue with this album.
But it is my issue, which
Yeah.
I suppose we should sum up then.
Yeah,
Now, before we sum up, I will quote what Bruce Dickinson has said about this album.
yeah, okay.
And then we'll give our final
Go
thoughts,
for it.
I think.
Go for it.
So, in What Does This Button Do, Bruce has said that Skunkworks is an interesting record, and I think it's a good one. Its one big Achilles heel is what Chinese medical practitioners call a lack of joy. It is a dark, angry, sometimes magnificent, but brooding album. It is one gigantic index finger elevated and pointed at the world.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's interesting that that's his thoughts of the album. Not that we're in any way psychologists or whatever, but I think
Hell
this
no.
album was
Great, Jane.
this album was possibly a cathartic exercise.
Very, very, very good point, Professor.
I think what you have here is an artist who feels he has something to offer, but is struggling to find what it is. He's a heavy metal singer. He's been unhappy with the direction that his band were going in.
Yep.
He's left.
Yep.
He's made a rock album, which was experimental, a bit confused, but decent.
Enough to tickle the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's now went and made a kind of strange album for someone who's such a how would I say this? For someone who's quite proud of, has integrity as an artist. That's
Okay.
what I'd put. I respect him hugely as an artist. He's huge integrity. But I don't think my reading of this album is an album that, like you said, it for me doesn't have much validity, because he's just trying to make a grunge album, and he's doing that by going, oh, Soundgarden, what do they sound, or we'll make a Soundgarden song, we'll make a, and whether that quite that may not have been as deliberate or calculated as I've just stated, but then it may have been.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
But I mean, I've no doubts he decided he was going to make a grunge album, but whether he sat down and went, right guys, I want a Soundgarden song or whatever, it probably hasn't been like that. It's probably been, that's what, these are the riffs that Alex Dixon came up with, and Bruce's sang over it.
Yeah.
And he has also said about this band that it didn't work because we were a Frankenstein's monster of a band.
Yep.
We were just a load of different parts put together, and that's why it didn't work. So at least he acknowledged it didn't work. Yeah. And I mean, he disbands it quite shortly after this. Album's made. So those are my thoughts on it.
Right,
Plus,
Grant.
Sorry,
Go you on ahead, because I have a wee bit to say here, but I'll wait till you finish.
Yeah, the other bit would say that the lack of experimentation musically. I think for someone who, I find it a bit of a, what's the right word now? I find it odd, or a bit jarring, maybe, that he seemed like he wanted to experiment and not be confined to a certain genre, and then he's went and made a very narrow
Okay.
album.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna, he'd been. I think he feels he's pigeonholed as a heavy metal singer.
Okay. Well,
So
that's the first thing I wrote there because that's what Rod Small would say to him.
said to him,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So, and he's went, well, F that. I'm not going to be pigeonholed by anyone. I'm going to go and do something almost just to annoy. But he obviously felt I need to do something else. I want to feel relevant. But he's went and made a grunge album that's really very easy to pigeonhole as a grunge light rip-off album. It's just
which is tragic.
Which is, you know, there's nothing original in here. It's all, you know, we've heard it all before from other bands that have done it way better. It's just copying. This isn't cutting edge in any way, shape, or form.
No, absolutely not.
You know, and I think that's probably all there really is. What's left to say about
fine.
it? I think if he was going to rebrand himself, he went, this wasn't the way to do it. Potentially, that may have been down to his branding and the label he's with, and him being put on tour with Halloween. I mean, he said that was just
about to say something about that.
totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not where he was at all. You know, probably a bewildered crowd going, what's this crap he's doing now? So that was probably difficult for him as well. He's kind of swimming against the tide. A bit. So a difficult thing, and a thing that he'll not be the first and he's not the last to try and break out of a genre, especially the metal genre. It's a difficult one when you're established. To try and go and do something different. It's a difficult nut to crack.
Absolutely.
But yes, I find it a rather pedestrian, unoriginal album.
Okay.
It's a bit of a slog.
Right, okay.
With some good tracks at the start.
I'm going to come at this from a different angle. Right? And I'll just read what I've written and then we'll discuss it. So, the Skunkworks band, because that's what I think they should have been, had undoubted potential, right? The two Alexes and Chris Steele were super tight, right? Alex Dixon's riffs or whatever are bang on for the genre and the time, okay? I'm not talking about originality. In fact, I don't actually mention originality in this. So I take that point on. That's a very, very good point. Looking at it as a band, I feel that this was one of rock's tragedies. Okay. Because if they, here's why, their biggest USP was also their biggest disadvantage.
That's interesting.
Yeah. If Skunkworks was a band, here's these guys from London, they're called Skunkworks. There was never a British grunge band. You can't say Bush were a British grunge band, even though they had a British lead singer, because they were American.
They're based in LA, weren't they? Yeah.
They were LA. They soaked it all up there, whatever. There wasn't a British grunge band.
No.
You know, it's a tragedy because we didn't have one we could latch on to our own. Really, these guys had potential. Chris Steele had said in the interview, Alex Dixon had about 30 songs written. The album is the first 12 that he had written.
Right.
So what was next? And Bruce just liked them because they were pumpkins, Soundgarden. You know, Bruce is the biggest issue here. So Bruce was 38, trying to do something different. But the issue was why? Why was he trying to do something different?
Yeah.
Why? He was angry. In the book, he says he was angry, broke, and disillusioned, which is the holy trinity of 90s alternative grunge rock. No money, you know, angst, and you want... So it's the lyrics are all about escape, return, deliverance, and retribution. But, and I've written this now, and I'm just putting it out there, but like a load era Metallica, the zeitgeist is not for them, right? Okay? Different album, different band, some great tracks on it, but a shift.
Yeah.
Not as big a shift, but fair enough. I don't need to talk about Metallica here.
Yeah.
Bruce was too old. That's the other thing. Did you write something about Metallica?
No, I'm just thinking, well, it comes just slightly later on in the
does.
same year.
It does.
So,
It does. Yeah.
yeah.
So Bruce was too old. Okay, in my opinion, because the guys he was playing with were 15 years younger than him. The grunge bands grew up listening to him, so he could never be part of them.
No, that's it. That is it.
It's like, somebody like Muhammad Ali, boxing with kids from Belfast. You know what I mean? So he had his shot at this time. It was from 82 to 93.
So
He had his shot.
Yeah.
In
essence, you're saying is what Rod Smallwood told him
Yeah. He's a
right
heavy metal
from the
singer.
off
Yeah.
was you're a heavy metal singer.
Yeah. So the album can't escape that, as you have rightly said, and I've put in the word parody. It's a parody of a grunge album, which is a crying shame, because I think this band had a ton of potential. I would love to have heard what else he had up his sleeve, Alex Dixon, with a different singer, with an unknown, with somebody, and with maybe Sanctuary behind them. They knew they didn't just have, unlike today, they're in charge of a whole lot of different people. They didn't just have metal at their heart. It made their money, but it didn't, So next time out, as I say here, the man comes around. Bruce comes around to what he's used to, his bread and butter.
He's no dozer.
Yeah.
And yes, what's about to happen, and we will talk about, will be Bruce's return to metal.
Yeah.
And with Accident of Birth, which is what happens very shortly after this. But
very, very shortly, actually, when you look at the chronology.
And it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
And we'll not go into that now.
There's a boy with a fringe jacket comes back.
Yeah.
On a bass string, whereas the top is E string should be.
Looking forward to talking about that. But just, I suppose it'd be a good point to just have a brief reflection before we finish on Bruce's time as a solo artist, where he's trying not to be metal.
We'll call it,
I suppose.
the best thing to do is, using a rock term, Bruce Dickinson's lost weekend.
Wilderness years.
Yeah, lost weekend, like John Lennon. Same.
Yep. Personally, a very mixed bag. And I have to say, I think a weird and missed opportunity.
For Bruce or for the band?
For Bruce.
Right.
I don't mean just this album. I mean Balls to Picasso as well. And I think we touched on this.
Yeah.
I, for the life of me, don't understand, and will never understand why, after it being one of his biggest gripes around the Somewhere in Time era, and that about what made him to go and make an acoustic album.
Something different,
Something different. An acoustic album. Acoustic chill out. That was the phrase that he has used. That's what it's been said he wanted to do, and he wrote a load of these songs. Why didn't he make
Why didn't he do it?
Why didn't he do it? Because for me, he could have bypassed everything you said there about being a guy in his late 30s, all of a sudden trying to play in a band younger than him. And trying to make a grunge album.
Be down with the
kids.
kids. Down with
trying
the
to
kids.
be down with the kids. That look that never ever works.
Never works. You don't want to be the oldest swinger in town.
No, but that doesn't mean that you can't. There is a way of transcend. He could have done it in his own terms. Those grunge bands did do the unplugged thing and all. But he could have done that in a way that it's a bit like growing old gracefully. And I'm not saying he was old at 38, but in rock terms.
No, but in rock terms he was a dinosaur.
Perceived by younger audiences as.
Yeah.
But he could have done the acoustic thing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That grunge audience might have actually listened.
That's before the band got together. That's what him and Alex Dixon were doing. They were going around America, Europe, playing acoustically, the two of them.
Why didn't they make an album of that stuff?
Yeah.
And we did say this about Balls to Picasso. There's some acoustic tracks on it, really, really good.
Yeah, that's right. Different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a track R101, which is on the extended album of this. It's probably better known for actually being on his best of. It's an acoustic song, and it's fantastic. And he's got another song on that Best of Bruce Dickinson that comes out later. I think it's actually just called Acoustic Song, and it was a B-side from Balls to Picasso. That's brilliant as well. And he's so good at that, and I just don't understand for the life of me why he just didn't make an acoustic album, because his voice shines.
And he never has.
And it would have opened up. I think there would have been a truly far bigger audience. Plus, he wouldn't have had the issue of having to. It would have been far easier branding wise for a record company to go, all right, you're doing that. Yeah, we just take a photograph of you with a guy with an acoustic guitar beside you and stick, Bruce Dickinson. It's quite easy to brand, you know. You don't have to worry about trying to sell to an audience and getting a Storm what's-his-face to do a fancy album cover and spend money on it. It's just an easier one.
Which he had that's something very, very 2 seconds of album cover, because I'm going to have to pop it up now. But it's going to...
Yes.
It's going to... Why did they not invest that money in the Balls to Picasso whenever they did have the Storm Thorgerson, the Circle of People, and it became an Anthrax album cover, and we ended up with Bruce and a Sharpie in the toilet wall.
Wearing his pajamas?
Yeah, and now we've got a really cool album cover.
Yep. And that doesn't
make any sense.
Make any sense to me.
I'll tell you what it is. I think what you're saying there, what I'm getting from what you're saying, is that yes, he was lost and it was his wilderness years. Absolutely agree with you 1,000,000%. I think he needed a guiding hand, and Sanctuary Records and Sanctuary Management did not give that to him.
No, that's probably true.
He probably needed Rod to go, okay, let's do an acoustic album instead of Rod. I think Rod was kind of, and I can't speak for Rod, but Rod's a businessman. Bottom line, at the end of the day, his golden child on his cash cow left. Maybe there was a bit of vitriol there. Maybe they just didn't get on and they just fell out. We don't know.
Don't really know.
It's church whispers, but you know, at the end of the day,
that's true. It could also have been he'll get this out of his system.
Yeah.
And we'll get the reunion.
Or
we'll
get him enough rope.
You know.
himself.
Yeah. A bit of both. You know, Rod Smallwood knew the business. He's no dozer.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know how you feel about it. I just think it would have been, there's audience there, far easier radio play wise back in that day as well. Just everything. For me, it just ticks so many more boxes. And yeah, he could have went back to much of his roots. And, you know, Fleetwood Mackie stuff and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
It would have worked musically. He wouldn't have looked like someone who was desperately trying to become relevant.
Define me. Yeah, define himself.
Yeah. It would have come across as being far more... It would have come across as being far more genuine.
Yeah.
But obviously it wasn't, because it's not what he ultimately did. So... that's my thoughts on that era.
It's a very interesting album. I think Jack Endino also does a great job producing it. I really quite like it. It sounds good. It sounds of its time, which is a flipping, you know, it's a drinking game in this podcast. But it sounds of its time. It's done a great job. To date, it's the best produced 90s album from this podcast, I think. It's solid, it's steady, it's not recorded in a barn, and it's not like a bag of liquor all sorts.
That's true. And to clarify what we mean is it's the best, Maiden /
Dickinson.
Bruce Dickinson.
Up to now.
Production wise,
yes.
Yeah, it probably is, because Balls to Picasso.
Well done, Jack Endino.
Yeah, was produced by
and again, I think it was a shrewd play getting him in.
Yeah.
Attaching his name to it.
It probably was.
So they knew what they were doing. You know, in a way.
That side, yeah. I just find some of the... Yeah, anyway, I'll not repeat myself.
No, there's no point. Yeah. There's no point, indeed.
We're good, I think.
I think we'll go for scores.
We will go for scores, yes. I am going to give this a 5.
Okay, I was thinking in and around that territory just hearing you speak, because you don't hear it.
I don't hear it.
No,
I don't hear it. And, I mean, I've said some negative things about it there, and he's, you know, it's a artist trying to find relevance and trying to maybe be something he's not, and this, that, and the other. The other side of that coin is it's brave.
Yeah.
you
It
know,
is brave.
to just go and do that, and he's had the courage to go and do it. You know, it's very, you know, he's put himself up there to be shot down.
Yeah.
And he's
He has.
stayed true to his convictions. It's what he wanted to do, obviously. So he's
Yeah.
went and done that.
Yeah. Good.
So yeah, I wouldn't knock him for that. I think the first half of the album,
Aye,
give it a
first
5
side.
because the first side, as we
Yeah.
would call it, certainly the first 3-4 tracks are strong.
Yeah.
I think it really flags then and until Head Switch,
This is a cracker.
which is a cracker. It
Yeah.
gives it a real burst. But then the last kind of 3 tracks for me are really, really just copying other bands.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I feel so. I'm not gonna. If they were a bit more original, I might give it a bit more.
Aye.
But it puts me off listening to it. So
Yeah.
5 out of 10 for me.
5 out of 10. Good. I am going to go one higher. I'm going to give it 6.
6.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because this album, and I've been listening to it at length for quite some time now, and whenever I come back to it, I think that's really quite good, you know. And it goes back to the band. It goes back to the band and the guys who never got the shot, really. Because if you had a different singer and you released this album with a couple of tracks taken off it, Octavia definitely, Strange Death in Paradise definitely, you would listen to that 10-track album and you would think, this is brilliant. This is really good. You know, they get it. They're on point. They are tight, well produced, hard, but melodic, with good guitar work. Bass playing's great, drummers tight. So it's such a misstep. It's one of the so with those 2 tracks. Not we talked about the Andy factor. You remember we were talking about the X Factor. So I would say this album here would be Skunkworks.
Right, okay.
So,
Fair enough.
you know, it's one of these, if you had those 10 tracks and you listened to it, I think it probably would have been a classic.
So just to clarify, if you didn't see what Chris is talking about there, is in our X Factor, our Maiden's X Factor review.
Epic 2-hour review.
Big review. I kind of felt that they made 14 songs for that album and they only put 11 on, and I think if they'd dropped a couple and put a couple of the faster songs that ended up as B-sides in there, I thought there was a great album in there, or a far better album than the one they released, with a little bit more selective choices of tracks. And I think you're saying the same.
I'm saying the same, but
cut it down
again,
a wee bit.
you know, I'm not going to say you need a different singer. You would need a different singer.
Yeah.
You would need somebody who can sing like Chris Cornell or Bruce, very good singer, but you would need somebody different. It has to come without his stamp on it, because funny enough, you were saying there, and the last thing I'm going to say is Chris Steele talks about that tour, and they were talking about the fact that it was Halloween.
So the subsequent tour for
they went
this
on tour
album,
with Jackal before that.
Yeah.
They were mad. They were always in Kerrang because your man got his arse out all the time.
And had a chainsaw or something.
Yeah. So madness, total madness.
Were they a Scottish band, Jackal?
No, they were from Tennessee.
Tennessee, right? Okay.
Southern boys.
Hence the right.
Yeah. So but then when the Halloween thing came along, it was like they were excited to be playing the big crowds, but they knew it was wrong. They knew
it was the wrong crowd.
We can't play to this crowd and get the same experience that they would get when Halloween come on stage.
Yeah.
You know, which is why maybe they brought in the prisoner they brought in, didn't they, into the live set and things like that.
Yeah.
But you listen to it and it's just a joke.
Yeah. It's
And
not
I'm
the right
sad to
band
say.
to play that stuff.
It sounds like, yeah, I think
So
me
it's
and you
not.
would make a better stab of it.
Yeah.
You know what I
it's
mean?
it's not the right band for that kind of stuff. And certainly not the right band to be touring with Halloween.
No, absolutely not.
Wrong
you know.
audience.
Sanctuary
completely.
management again, though, but fair enough, you know what I mean. But you know, gives them the shot, gives them, you know. But there's a good album in it. There's a great grunge album in it as a genre defining piece. Be pretty good, I would say.
Okay, that's interesting. You think that
The best British grunge album we never heard. So there you go. That's it in a nutshell, folks.
Yep. Well, you heard it here first.
So whatever you think about this album, and I would say not too many people would probably flick past this because they're going Skunkworks.
Yeah,
But give it a spin and listen to it and think about what we've said.
Give it a spin, guys. There
We'd
is some
love to find out
interesting
what you hear about
stuff on there. Yeah, we'd be really interested to hear just what your thoughts.
Arguably,
and
these are more interesting personally for me, delving into these than delving into what I love.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
times,
Because
it
can be painful at times, you know.
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
oh Jesus, I've got to do this, write these notes for this. I hate that bloody song, you know. Why
yeah.
do you hate it so much? But
It's a bit of and sometimes a bit of a slog.
Yeah,
This
slog,
album
yeah.
was a bit of a slog at times for me, certainly in the middle bit of it, and yeah, but interesting, and we would love to hear your
I
your
think
thoughts
we're
on
at the
it.
very bottom of the curve now. I think we're going to start to slightly move a wee toady bit up the ways. Anyway,
We're about to move. The trajectory changes. Honestly, if you have been tuning into the Ed Factor, I know so far our reviews of the 90s stuff has probably been fairly negative.
yeah, they have. Yeah.
But I think that's fair because I think it's a difficult time for the band and a difficult time for Bruce up to now. Although I think we give a fairly decent review of the X Factor.
Yeah.
So
we did.
but yeah, I think we're reaching a point, as you say, in the timeline now where things are going to start to change.
Yeah.
The next episode will be Accident of Birth.
Yep,
because
it
it
will
comes
be.
out in 1997.
Yes, it will. It'll be our Bruce double.
Yep. So it'll be Accident of Birth before Virtual 11, which is 98. So there are next two coming up. So that will be very different.
It will
so
be indeed.
Stay tuned.
Thanks
Look forward to hearing
thanks
from
for
you.
watching, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say. We really appreciate all the comments. Thanks a million.
Oh
guys.
yeah.
Woohoo!